Well, happy Monday morning. We are getting ready to head back to Dayton, Ohio for the second part of our road trip. We are just topping off the Tesla and the NEMA 1450 plug. Interesting part about this trip is we are not sure if we're gonna make it. This part of the trip we're charging up to 100%, and we are going to see if we can make it all the way over the hill north of Knoxville, or the mountain north of Knoxville, and make it to London, Kentucky. We're going to see if we can get over the hill with enough charge on board. It says we should have enough and should arrive with around 12 to 13%, so that's going to be the interesting part of our trip, to see whether or not we can make it over the hill fully charged without stopping. So it's a rainy day, which can kind of kill efficiency, but we're going to see how it goes, and we'll just do a few quick updates as we do our trip along this morning. Hope you all enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like this video and content and want to see more. Thank you. Yes, please. Need a little bit of fuel before we get our road trip finished up. Well, we're in the car. We've got about 201 miles till our next supercharger stop in London. We've got our full trip from Chattanooga all the way up to Dayton, Ohio. And the most important part of the trip. Yes, please. Well, hey, we'll keep you updated as we go on our trip and let you know if anything. We're not quite sure if we're going to make it over the hill outside of Knoxville, the mountain, and make it to Lexington, but we'll see if we can get there. Elevation's a killer, and we'll see what happens to our range as we go. Have you ever wondered about how superchargers do their pricing? Well, I just saw something really interesting I thought I'd share with y'all. Let me show you. In Knoxville, there are two supercharger locations on 75 as we head up north. So the first one here, it says 23 cents to 71 cents per minute. Well, that's interesting, and then it has an idle fee. If we expand that, it actually breaks out the amount of charging. So if you charge under 60 kilowatts, 23 cents a minute. If you go over 60 kilowatts, it's 43 cents a minute, and 100 to 150, 71 cents a kilowatt. So Tesla's really trying to get you to move on. I don't know if that's specific for this holiday weekend. Let me know. But let me show you the next charger. So that was a 150 kilowatt charger. Just a few miles down the road, we see 23 cents to $1.20. Well, here we see the pricing go up even more at this 250 kilowatt charger. So 23 cents, 0 to 60 kilowatts, 60 to 145 cents a minute, 74 cents a minute, 100 to 180, and 180 to 250, $1.20 a minute. So they're really cranking it up. Both of those have an idle fee. If we just go north up here to London, they're just charging us by the kilowatt. So clearly those are two of the more busy supercharger locations. So as you're doing your trip planning, it may pay you, not just from a time standpoint, but to look at the different pricing structures of the superchargers in and around the area. The way you find that is in your map. You click your map location, click the charger, and then it'll bring up everything that's kind of around you, and you can select any one of them, and you can see what speed charger and the pricing structure. So anyway, so right now, just a quick update. We were scheduled to get into London, Kentucky with 34% charge, almost 35% charge. However, that's dropped to 21% charge. A couple of reasons for that. One is we've been going net uphill as we go from Chattanooga to Knoxville. Secondly, there's rain, as you can see, and rain creates more drag as the wheels hit the ground and push the water out of the way, and so therefore we're using more electricity. So just so you're kind of curious, since our last charge, we're using 297 watt hours per mile. On the way down here, we were using 263. So let's just take a look at our charge. So this is showing 21%. And right now, while our rated range is 240 miles, it's projecting about 212. So I think we're going to have plenty of charge to get into the London, Kentucky supercharger. So we're going to try to skip the ones in Knoxville altogether, save a few dollars, and also just charge once on the way back. The weather's pretty rotten. It's kind of drizzly and rainy. We've had a couple of spouts of some heavy rain. just an interesting tip I found about pricing. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Have you seen this pricing out where you're at, or is this just something specific to this Memorial Day weekend? Let me know in the comments below. Well, folks, we're here to Knoxville and we've got a decision to make. Do we charge and be safe? Hey, Parker. Or do we go over the mountains? Let's take a look. We just passed one of the two superchargers here in Knoxville. We got one more that's a 250 kilowatt charger. We've been using a little bit more electricity than we had planned, so right now we are scheduled to get into our supercharger at about 18%. So I think the key will be make sure that as we're going over the mountain we don't use too much energy as we go over, but we'll kind of see how it goes. But thus far we're going to roll the dice and see if we can get over the mountain without charging. We'll let you know if that's a good idea when we get back. There's our first Rivian sighting coming down the road. It looks pretty sweet. Well, we're sitting here about 8 minutes from our supercharger stop, where we're going to stop in London, Kentucky. We made it over the mountain pass, so we're a little bit worried about that. Did use a bit more energy than Tesla had originally calculated, and I'll show you all what we were talking about here. The weather's been pretty poor. Rain, off and on traffic slowdown, so that's kind of made for a little bit of a bummer. So right now we're scheduled to get into Tesla with about 19% charge, which is way down from 35% when we first started this morning. So you'll see the battery is preconditioning, it's warming up the temperature of the battery to accept all those electrons. So we've got made it here to the supercharger with a 19% charge. Let's go ahead and get plugged in, and so we can get on our way here. Unfortunately, slow their charge down, but it's just the way it goes. People leaving their trash. Let's take a look and see what we're able to end up charging at. There we go. This looks like we're ramping up. Doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot. It's because we're plugged up next to this Model X that's next to us. Unfortunately, it's splitting the power between us. It's picking up a little bit here. Let's see here. Don't know that we're going to get over 72 kilowatts because we're trying to balance between the two chargers. These superchargers share a circuit, the 150 kilowatt chargers. So, all right, well, we're going to go out. I'm going to go out, stretch my legs. We'll keep going. We'll let this charge. It looks like we've got, right now, 35 minutes, unless the guy next to us moves. So, not much we can do. All right. Just walking around here, you'll notice all the supercharger stalls are full, all 6 of them. So, unfortunately, everyone's charging at a little bit slower rate, which just makes it a little bit more. And see, somebody's pulling up over there, a Tesla. They're gonna have to wait. Oh well, parking lot is pretty ratty. Doing a bunch of work and a lot of junk laying around. In the interim, a little bit of Disney Plus in the old Tesla theater. Kids are enjoying it. Thumbs up. Yep, thumbs up. And we'll keep going. So we're on the road here. We've got a couple of minutes slowdown, but so far traffic's been pretty good. Just stopped and got some lunch there. We're going to make try to do see if we can skip the last charger. They want us to stop in Florence. The Tesla gods want us to stop in Florence, Kentucky. However, I think we're going to be good. So right now, it's projecting that we've got about 13% until we get home. So I think we've got plenty of charge to make it home. And if for some reason it gets a little bit too low, we'll just slow down or we'll stop in Florence. So anyways, we stopped for about 30 minutes and supercharged about $20 worth. Really slow because there were every one of the stalls was backed up. In fact, when we left, there were 5 or 6 cars deep waiting to get going. So anyways, overall trip's going well, and our efficiency has been actually better this past portion and since we last charged. So that's why I think we're going to have plenty of juice to get home. So anyways, trip's going well, uneventful. The rain is just getting ready to start. As you can see here, the traffic's slowing down a little bit, but we should be good to go. Continue to make good progress on our trip here. We are going to skip the Florence, Kentucky supercharger because we're getting great range. Ran into some traffic slowdown outside of Lexington, which seems like it's par for the course anytime we make this trip back and forth. So it looks like we're going to get percent range on our trip, and it looks like we don't have any more slowdowns coming up, so we're just right now cruising down the road. And as you can see, there's been light rain pretty much the whole way as we go down, which has been fine. Thus far, the autopilot has worked all but except one time, so far so good. And we should see once we cross the border. Well, we made it home. It was much longer than we had originally planned. That was in part to 3 factors: rain, traffic and accidents and detours, and supercharging. Of all things, the supercharging in London really slowed things down. We had to share power with another stall, and I'll tell you about that a bit more in a second. So let's just recap the trip here. I'm going to look down at a few notes. 414 miles, average speed of 47 miles an hour. That was almost 5 or 6 less than our last time, and still pretty slow. 8 hours and 45 minutes of total travel time, 60 minutes of traffic / detour. We used 103, call it 104 kilowatts of electricity. We supercharged $23.70, and we added about 198 miles at a cost of 44 cents per kilowatt hour. We home charged for about $5. And we spent 50 minutes supercharging. That's twice the amount that we spent last time, so really not a good. Overall, the trip was exactly the same price as what we spent before, about 7 cents per mile, or a total of about $29 total trip one way for 414 miles. So just a couple of things: skip superchargers that you're sharing a stall. Just get whatever you need and move on to the next one in hopes that you can get your own stall. That doubled the amount of time that we needed to spend. We should have spent about 23 to 24 minutes instead, because there was a Tesla Model Y charging. I'm not really sure what they were doing. They were there when we arrived. We plugged up and charged up almost to about 90%, and they were still there when we left for about another 10-15 minutes. Not really clear what was going on there. We did take a number of other stops. The restaurant choices were not what people wanted, so we stopped, walked around, restroom breaks. Really heavy torrential downpour here on the East Coast this weekend, so really kind of slowed things down. But overall, Tesla Model Y performed really well. The range was as expected. Trip computer was spot on. The ride was very comfortable. Everything worked really well. Autopilot, again, was a game changer. And overall, it was really good. One interesting experience that we had as we were driving into Lexington, we had just gotten off the interstate and it just started to drizzle and rain. And so we had been driving pretty hard, and we had just gotten supercharging about 15 minutes before. All of a sudden, torrential downpour started to happen. We were going through puddles, I mean, heavy gully washer, and we heard this loud thunk. And I was like, what, did we run over something? Look back, there was nothing there. As we kind of looked around and thought a little bit more, I remembered the battery packs on these expand and contract. And so much like a Tupperware can kind of pop as the temperature changes both up or down. If you put something hot in there and it cools down, it'll suck down, or vice versa. You heat something up with the lid on, it'll pop off. Well, the same thing happened in the battery pack with here. So again, nothing's the matter. Just kind of normal. I've read about this on the forums before. Just an interesting experience. You have this thunk and you kind of feel it in your feet. And you look back, you're on a brand new smooth paved road with nothing going on underneath. But overall, really, really well. It performed well. We charged too long at the London supercharger because we didn't want to have to stop again. In fact, in hindsight, we could have saved about 10%. So instead of going to 90%, just done 80, and that would have got us home with about 9% as of right now. So we got home with about 19% state of charge. So overall, great trip. I think everyone's happy to be home. We're done with road trips for a little bit, but overall, EV road tripping, very easy. Again, just skip those either V1 superchargers if you can, or just move on to the next one in hopes that you'll get a free stall. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next road trip.